One of the things I've really learned in the 5 years I've been in crypto is that people really just don't understand the long-term game here. You watch Bitcoin drop from $20,000 to $3,000 like I did in the first 2 years that I was in the space, and you start asking yourself the question, why? How did that happen? How did people get so hyped on Bitcoin that it would go to $20,000 just to drop all the way down to three? Where does an 85% correction on an asset as impactful and revolutionary to human society as Bitcoin, where does that come from? And I'll tell you where it comes from. It comes from people forgetting why Bitcoin was created in the first place. It comes from all of the money that came into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency during 2017 coming in for the wrong reason. People got into Bitcoin in 2017 because they wanted to get rich. I was one of them. Not that I wanted to get rich, but I wanted to, make a difference in my own life. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that it's a horrible thing for people to come into cryptocurrency because they want to get very wealthy. But what I am saying is if you come into crypto and that's your primary reason for being here, you've got it wrong. And when you realize the error in your ways is when you're actually going to start making money and succeeding in crypto. So let's look at this from the impact that this broad psychology has on the market, and then let's make it a little more personal and talk about what you and I can do differently. So why did Bitcoin drop from $20,000 to $3,000? I would postulate that every single reason, there are many, boils down to one thing. People forgot why Bitcoin was created in the first place, or maybe they didn't forget, they never knew in the first place. Bitcoin was created not to make you rich. It was created to make you sovereign financially. That's why the vision of our company is to help people achieve financial sovereignty. What is financial sovereignty? Hashtag FinSov, posted on Twitter everywhere, if you don't mind, get that trending, is the idea of having complete and total control over your own finances instead of having some impersonal bank or multinational corporation having control over your finances for you. It's important that we have control over our finances and our financial systems because we are the people that are going to look out for our best interest. You want to have control over your finances so you're able to take care of your family rather than JP Morgan or Bank of America or the United States Federal Reserve having control over it, who might say they care about you, but they probably really don't, to be honest with you. Bitcoin was designed to take that financial sovereignty back into your own hands, and that is what the people that hodl for the long term understand. They really understand the value proposition, and that's why they hold Bitcoin for the very long term. It's not easy to hodl Bitcoin for 5 years through 85% corrections, but if you understand the vision, then you'll always have this thing to go back to and say, okay, Bitcoin's down 85% today, but this is a $100 trillion idea that will revolutionize society, so I think I'll hold it. That's why people hold Bitcoin. It's also the opposite of why people don't hold Bitcoin. The reason people don't hold Bitcoin for the long term, that they don't hodl it through an 85% correction, is because they don't understand why they're here in the first place. They think they're here to get rich, but they're not here to get rich. They're here to get sovereign, and by becoming sovereign, you might make a lot of money, which might make you feel rich, but if you think that the surface level idea of that being rich and having fancy things is what it's really all about, you're wrong. So when the market drops 85%, it drops 85% because people forgot or never knew in the first place why they were here, so they weren't able to weather the storm. But here's the funny thing. The people that did understand why Bitcoin was created in the first place, the people that did get that, hodled through 85% and bought down at $3,000 in January 2019, myself being one of them. I was DCAing the whole time. Those people did understand that when Bitcoin dropped to $3,800 in March of 2020, after the beginning of the pandemic, they understood, okay, this thing's going to come back. That's why I bought at $4,500 down there. That's why I have Ethereum that I'm still holding that I bought at $120 and $89, I think, at $200, because I understood the why behind these things. If you don't understand the why, you'll never understand how to actually operate in these markets and succeed. So I posit, I propose that whenever Bitcoin goes through a major correction, it's because people forgot why Bitcoin. That's why we made a series called Why Bitcoin. We want you to understand why Bitcoin, why Bitcoin was created in the first place, and why it's valuable to you. That's the impact that it has on the market when we forget why Bitcoin. But the impact it has on you when you forget why Bitcoin is that you're much less able to weather the storms. Because if your whole motivation for being in cryptocurrency is to get rich, well, when your portfolio is down $376,000, that motivation's out the window because you're down $376,000. But when your motivation is in the right place, i.e. what Bitcoin was founded to do in the first place, which it has perfectly executed on every 10 minutes for the last 13 years, then your confidence will not shake. When you're in cryptocurrency, because of the vision and the why that the technology has revolutionarily enabled, which is creating digital scarcity and financial sovereignty online for the first time in human history, when you have rooted your reason for being in crypto on that, That will never change. If you root your trust in crypto on the price, well, I'm here to tell you the price is going to drop 50% in a day every once in a while. I've watched it happen twice. It's going to drop 85% in a year before. I've seen that happen. It's going to drop 50% from all-time high. I've watched that happen a couple dozen times that I've been in crypto. If you root your investment in crypto on the price, you're going to quit. And in 20 years, you're going to regret that. Because you come back in 20 years and you're going to see a multi-million-dollar Bitcoin. I can't guarantee that, but I can virtually guarantee that, almost guarantee it, 99% certainty guarantee it. You're going to come back and you're going to say, man, why did I quit crypto? And I'm here to tell you why you quit crypto. You quit crypto because you never understood why you were in crypto in the first place. The reason that I am in crypto is not to get rich. It's not. The reason I'm in crypto is to make a difference in my life, in my family's life, in my community's life, and in the world. The way that I do that is by preaching this concept of financial sovereignty, this concept of taking the power of the financial systems back into our hands where they belong, where they're not going to be corrupted and bastardized by every other Tom, Dick, and Harry that decides to run the Federal Reserve and run the U.S. dollar straight into the ground. You can put $100,000 under a mattress and come back in 50 years, and without anybody touching a single one of those Benjamins, they still manage to steal 80% of it from you. That's how messed up our financial systems are, and we're just so used to it that we don't understand how bad it is. George Orwell talked about that in 1984. The system's so messed up that nobody realizes how broken it is because they have no perspective. They have no outside way of understanding just how broken it is because there's no contrast. There was no way of understanding, oh, wait a minute, this is another way that it could operate because there's only one paradigm. Well, I'm here to tell you that in January 3rd, 2009, Bitcoin brought about a new paradigm. It brought about a paradigm of building a financially inclusive system built on a supply-fixed currency called Bitcoin. Before, the demand for a currency would change up and down. The demand for products would change up and down, but the supply would too. Gold supply goes up over time. Real estate supply goes up over time. You might think, oh, they're not making any more land anymore. No, you're right, but they are developing more of it. So real estate is not as scarce of a resource as you think it is. Gold, not as scarce of a resource as you think it is. Precious metals, they're not. Stocks, you think stocks are a scarce resource? You're joking. US dollar, not even close. There was no such thing as a scarce asset that you could store money into the future in before Bitcoin, but now there is. The reason Bitcoin is revolutionary is because it has all the benefits of a digital system, and because it's a digital system, you can force it to have limited supply in a way we've never had before. Gold was the closest thing to a limited supply asset that we had, and it still inflates 2 or 3% a year, sometimes more based on the mining. Over half of the gold that's ever been created was created in the last 70 years. That's not a place to store against inflation. That's a place to have less inflation. Bitcoin has virtually none. There will only ever be 21 million, and right now there's already 19. And to be honest with you, there's probably more Bitcoin being lost every day than there is being mined at this point. We don't know that. That's not a thing we can quantify, but it's more than likely going on. If you're trying to store money into the future, if you're trying to take financial control and financial sovereignty back into your own hands, then Bitcoin is the only, I would propose, the only place that you can do that. The only place. Gold's not an option. Real estate's not an option. These things are not stores of value like you think they are, and it's much easier to steal them from you. Ask anybody who held gold through the Great Depression how good of a store of value that was when FDR came in and stole it all from them. It doesn't work that way. Real estate, they can come and snatch it from you anytime. Bitcoin, you can store the private keys in your head, and it's the first system in the history of mankind where the incentivization is not to hurt you and steal it from you, but to try and convince you to tell them, because you can store it in your head. And by the way, even if you don't store it in your head, there's always the threat that you can memorize it in 5 minutes, delete all the hard code, and then the only way to get the Bitcoin is out of your brain. So what's the point I'm making here? Why does Bitcoin go through massive corrections? Because people never understood what I just said in the first place. Why do we sometimes want to leave Bitcoin, or sometimes we do leave Bitcoin? Because we never understood what I just said in the first place. But if you truly internalize what I just said, it will revolutionize the way you look at crypto. If you stop looking at making a lot of money as the end goal, but instead look at it as a byproduct of understanding the true end goal, which is having financial sovereignty, then you're going to do a lot better in crypto. I can basically promise you that. Because that's the thing that'll help you weather the storms, and they will come. And some would say we're in one right now because Bitcoin's so boring, and boredom is a type of storm in crypto. What are your thoughts on this? Tell me in the comment section down below. What is it that keeps you in cryptocurrency? Is it the hope of the price going up, Or is it the hope in a revolutionary technology that will answer one of the biggest problems that humanity has ever faced, the inability to store money for a long period of time into the future without somebody stealing it or it being inflated into oblivion? Love to hear your thoughts on that in the comment section down below. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.